What's up guys, it's Lord Both here with another video, and this is a story that I've wanted to cover since it broke about last week, but I just haven't had time to, and it's something I'm really excited about. Because apparently, Hasbro has decided to work with Saber on a video game. This comes to us from PC Gamer. Hasbro is working with Saber Interactive on a Tentpole IP using Space Marine 2's Swarm technology. Hasbro CEO Chris Cox, what a name, was speaking in an earnings call on Thursday and said the company was collaborating with Saber's Space Marine 2 team on a new title based on one of the toy manufacturer's Tentpole IPs. He said, quote, many new digital collaborations are in the works, but that he was especially excited to announce the Saber project. Hasbro and Saber Interactive will be collaborating on an all-new video game partnership developed by the team behind 2024's mega hit Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. He said it will be a AAA title based on one of our Tentpole IPs, which will combine high-octane single-player and amazing multiplayer with Saber's Swarm tech. And just in case there's any doubt, Cox reiterated that the Space Marine 2 team specifically will be developing this title. The one question left unanswered, of course, is which license will Saber be working with? As Cox mentioned, Hasbro already has several other video game tie-ins in the works, including a new Dungeons & Dragons game from Invoke Games, the creators of D&D Dark Alliance, as well as G.I. Joe game from Atomic Arcade. Don't forget there was also Baldur's Gate 3, which is D&D tie-in that was made by Larian Studios. So obviously Hasbro is really into the gaming scene at this point, probably making a lot of money for them in terms of licensing deals. The obvious omission from the above is Transformers, which has endured a fallow few years for video game tie-ins. The most recent attempt was Splash Damage's online action game, Transformers Reactivate, but that project was cancelled in January for reasons that are still unclear, and we did see some of the gameplay that leaked from that, and from what we were able to see, it looked like it was going to be really cool. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, probably costs, it was cancelled. While there's no evidence to suggest the two are connected, the timing of this announcement coming just a month after the cancellation is intriguing. And let's be honest here, a Transformers game by Saber Interactive, especially this Space Marine 2 development team, it just makes sense. They already have other IPs being made by other game studios. G.I. Joe, Dungeons & Dragons, all of them mentioned above, right? Transformers hasn't had a good game come out in a great long while, essentially since I was a kid. They plan on really wanting to use the Swarm tech in this game, and if you just look at the aesthetics, you compare the aesthetics of something like the world of 40k that was developed in Saber, and you compare that to the look of something like Cybertron, I mean, the aesthetics are kinda similar, like that dark gray, almost column-like structure of everything. And it would not be shocking to me if we got a War for Cybertron game out of Saber Interactive. And if they do that, and if they make it the same quality as Space Marine 2, they have an absolute banger on their hand. I'm just saying that Transformers goes beyond 40k because it has that sort of normie appeal that Space Marine kind of doesn't have. Because let's be honest, a lot of people, they're jumping in point for Space Marine was maybe this past video game. Not a lot of people are going to say that about Transformers. Transformers has a lot more recognizability. Recognizability? That's a word, right? Anyway, people recognize Transformers way more than they do Space Marine. So if they did a War for Cybertron video game with Transformers and all that, as good as Space Marine did, that Transformers game is going to go absolutely to the moon. And even beyond that. Again, that's all assuming too that they make it and it's good. But granted, this is Saber Interactive. We've seen what they've done already, which is why a lot of people are excited about this news and they're confident that it is going to be a good game. The only worrying thing I would say here is that crunch creep might start to sink in at the studio. Because one of the smart things that Larian did after the gigantic success of Baldur's Gate 3 was they essentially roasted the industry, told them they had to change if they were going to survive while accepting their Game of the Year award, and they made it very clear that they had a certain way of doing things that people with IPs might not like. They basically said, we make our games grand and slow and methodical. And if you're not down with that, don't ask us to make your IPs a game. We haven't heard the same kind of rhetoric, really, from Saber Interactive. And it seems like they're starting to put their fingers into a lot of pies. They got the Avatar Last Airbender game that they're making. Now they're working with Hasbro on this. They got other games that they're developing as well. And it's possible that they could end up spreading themselves too thin, making too many games at once, and lose that level of quality that we had in Space Marine 2. And that would be a shame because it would harm the reputation of their company and their ability to make really great games. Because they've shown that they have the ability to make really great games that people are willing to spend their hard-earned money for. But despite that possibility, I remain excited about this. If they do make a Transformers War for Cybertron game, or just a Transformers game in general, though I think their talent would be wasted on doing something Transformers related and going to Earth. No matter what, I'm going to be interested in it. I'm going to take a look at it, and I'll probably check it out if it ever drops. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you liked this video, go and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.